Hello, welcome back to Cooking in the Kitchen. My name is Jessie and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a red lentil dish. So we're going to need quite a few things today, but you will probably have most of it in your kitchen already. We're going to need some red lentils, of course, and a little tip with red lentils is I like to soak them. So if you want to see what this looks like, I just fill the lentils up in a bowl and I pour in some water, about 2 cups of water per 1.5 cups of lentils, and I let this soak for about an hour beforehand. If you have any problems digesting lentils or beans, soaking them can help alleviate any digestive distress. Other than our red lentils, we are going to be using zucchini. You want to use either 2 medium-sized zucchinis or 3 smaller zucchinis. We're going to need some broth. If you don't have broth, you can also use water, but I love to use vegetable broth. I use low sodium. It's going to add a little bit more flavor in the dish. We'll also be using some light coconut milk. Make sure it is the canned kind because you're going to need the creaminess to make that soup nice and creamy. We'll be using some cumin, turmeric, garlic, salt, any plant oil you have at home. So it could be canola oil, grapeseed oil. I like to use olive oil, but it does not matter. Whatever you have on hand is great. We'll be using some ginger. If you don't have ginger root, you can also use ginger powder, but this is going to give you a little bit more flavor. And then we'll also have 1 large or 1 medium-sized onion, depending on how much you like the flavor of onions or not. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how you're going to cut everything up for this dish. So let's show you how to cut everything up. We're going to be dicing everything up. So let's start with our zucchini. I had 3 smaller zucchinis. I'm going to start by cutting off the ends of the zucchini. And if you don't like zucchini, you could also sub in yellow summer squash if you can find them in the fall time. Some stores will have them, but if you don't like zucchini, summer squash also works great in this dish. Okay, so we cut it in half, and then we're going to go long ways down the zucchini, cutting it in 3 or 4 pieces. Just depends on how thick or wide your zucchini is, or your summer squash if you would prefer that instead. Okay, once I have that, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And just cut them down and throw it in the bowl. All right, for our onions, a little trick that I like to do here. So I've already peeled off some of the skin and washed the onion. I'm going to keep the root of the onion on. This is going to make it much easier to cut. And then on the other side, I'm just going to cut a little bit of the onion off. And then from here, if you want to come a little bit closer, you're going to follow the ridges of the onion as best you can. But making sure that you keep the root of the onion on will make it much easier to cut. Of course, as always, be mindful of your fingers. We don't want any accidents in the kitchen. Okay, so then once you've gone down those ridges, you're going to go across. Okay, so you just continue to do that with the onion, and you'll see from here now, it's going to break apart into these little pieces, and you just throw that, oops, and you'll probably spill some like I do. You'll throw it into your bowl. All right, the last thing that we need to dice up is our ginger. So I have some ginger ready right here. This is what it should look like. Those onions are hitting my eyes right now. You're going to peel your ginger root. Again, if you don't have ginger root at home, you could use ginger powder if you don't want to spend time cutting this. That is totally understandable. But otherwise, I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm just going to go along, chopping it until I get it into tiny little pieces. Pull it together. Sorry, my eyes are really feeling the onions. They're crying. All right, so just keep going until you have enough to start sliding into your bowl. You want to have about 1 tablespoon of diced up garlic, or minced up if you want it a little bit finer. All right, we'll be right back and show you how to throw this all together on the stove. So now we're going to start cooking everything in our pot. You only need 1 giant pot, which is my favorite thing about this meal. It is so easy to make. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of olive oil, but as a reminder, you could use any other vegetable oil, plant oil that you prefer if you don't like olive oil. Olive oil and canola oil are heart-healthy oils, so just a little nutrition tidbit as we're cooking. All right, so once you put 2 tablespoons of your oil of choice in your pot, you're gonna come on over, turn the heat up to about medium-high heat. I have it on setting 6. And you're gonna take all of your onions and just dump them in here. All right, you're gonna start cooking these. It should take about maybe 4 or 5 minutes. And then we'll start adding in a few other things. We'll see you when our okay, next up we're gonna add our ginger. Right, so this is about 1 tablespoon of ginger. And mix that in. And then we're gonna add 1 clove of garlic. If you like to buy the pre-cut garlic, which I do to save on time, half a teaspoon equals 1 clove of garlic. So we'll add that in there. Feel free to add more. I personally love garlic. And you're just gonna stir that for about 1 minute. And we're gonna get our spices ready. We'll add them in just a few seconds here. All right. So after about 1 minute, you're gonna get your cumin and turmeric, and we're gonna put in 1 teaspoon, here we go, of cumin, or more, and 1 teaspoon of turmeric. All right, now when you put your spices in, it's gonna look like it's sticking to the pot like this, but I promise you it will not stick to the bottom. We're gonna add our liquids in just a moment here. But make sure you mix it in really well so that your onions and garlic are coated in those spices. Add a little salt. I just add a sprinkle of salt. And then once it's thoroughly mixed in, it should look like this. All right. Now, after we have our spices all mixed in there, we're gonna add in our canned light coconut milk. I don't recommend full-fat coconut milk. It's really high in saturated fat. From time to time, of course, that's absolutely fine. But if this is something that you wanted to make on a weekly basis, I would stick with the light coconut milk, sorry, I almost said oil, because it's a lot lower in saturated fat compared to the regular canned coconut milk. Now from here, we'll go ahead and add in our lentils and our 2 cups of broth. And again, if you don't have broth, you do not have to use it. Water works perfectly fine. I just like to use a low sodium vegetable broth because it gives it a little bit more flavor. Go ahead and give that a good stir. And then whenever you're ready, we're gonna put our top on. We're gonna let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Now, I personally love using red lentils. You don't have to use red lentils. If you like green lentils or something else, please feel free to sub with that. But lentils in general are a really wonderful plant protein. 1 cup offers about 18 grams of protein, and they're also pretty high in iron as far as plant foods go. So if you struggle to get in enough iron and you like lentils, this is a great way to boost the iron up as well as getting plant protein. Plant protein is pretty amazing because it has all these different properties known as phytochemicals. These are chemicals that are known to help benefit human health, and lentils are jam-packed with these guys. So these are a wonderful plant protein source. They are wonderful for getting all those phytochemicals in. Those are all those minerals, vitamins, and nutrients that help us feel our best. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes and we'll do the final touches. See our final masterpiece here for our red lentil dish. It should look like this whenever you're done. 1 serving size is about 1 cup or 1.5 cups. I like to add sometimes a little bit of shredded chicken, balsamic vinegar, and a little bit of feta cheese on top, and it brings out all the other flavors and makes it absolutely delicious. This should hold up in your refrigerator for about 1 week and in your freezer for about 6 months. If you love this recipe, I would recommend doubling or even tripling it. You can freeze it, put it away so it's ready to go on those late nights when you get home from work. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and if you make it, please let us know. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.